Hey guys, I'm running Kid here coming to you again. How's everybody doing out there? Back again for another comic review for you guys. Want some love, peace and love and respect to everybody out there. Hope you enjoyed last night's Dark Avenger Inc. Live show last night. It was just two of us in there, me and my master. Me and Gabi kicked it off, had a good time. But before I start, once again, the past week, you guys should know that I'm a huge wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling fan since I was 5 years old. Longer than I've been a comic fan. And we lost somebody to the wrestling world last week. Mr. William Moody, a.k.a. Paul Bear. He is probably one of the greatest managers, and he is been so attached to the character of The Undertaker. And he passed away last Tuesday. He's only 58 years old. And from my family, the Bennett family, to the Moody family, I just want to give my condolences to the Moody family. I know what it's like to lose someone very special like that. And it is very touching and heartbreaking to hear that. You know, once again, I lose somebody from my childhood that I grew up watching, and it's very sad, indeed. But no matter what, you know, you got to move on and just remember the good times, which I will do. Me and my brother have watched a lot of matches with Paul involved in it, so it's just like watching old times again. You know, I've lost people like the Macho Man, Randy Savage, Kurt Hennig, British Bulldog, but when I watch classic matches with them, I just remember the good times I remember with them. Okay? But I just wanted to get that out there and once again just say, Paul, we're going to miss you. Especially every wrestling fan out there is going to miss you. And hopefully we'll see something really big from your boy, The Undertaker, sometime maybe at this year's WrestleMania or so. Okay? Alright. Be right back. But the fact of the matter is now, guys, now we're back to the comic reviews, right? Comic reviews. As always, rocking me Spidey shirt today. As always, guys, anytime I said before, I rock a new shirt, I will put the link in the description where you could purchase this shirt yourself if you would like it. Let's kick it off, shall we? So we're gonna kick this off with Marvel, all right? And this week was not pretty good. All three Bendis books, in my opinion, were really good. Each one of them. So we're going to kick this off, like I said, with Marvel, and we're going to end it in Independent this time. So let's kick it off with, Age of Ultron, book number 1. Yeah, they're bringing back the glossy covers. Bendis and Brian Hitch is the artist on this. This was good. This was really good. Bendis said this is 10 years in the making. And you know what? He seems to be right, because who better to really, which is just going to be more of a, who better to really try to take over, same thing like Apocalypse tried to do, is probably arguably one of the greatest Avengers villains ever, Ultron. This book starts off with a bang, right off the bat. Very dire situations for the Marvel heroes. Hawkeye in this does some things that you probably would never see Hawkeye do, but he has to do it. Second of all, the Spider-Man involved in this is Peter Parker. It's not what's going on now. And that's what brings this question up, what brings up my prognosis of what this is. This story seems to be like an alternate world, in my opinion. It seems like it's a world almost similar to Age of Apocalypse. Well, that world streamed off the kind of the normal 616 storyline, and that's what I feel that this is, because I don't see this is not happening now in a sense. But overall, for the first issue, is very good. Luke Cage is in this. We get to see Luke, and he's got hair. He's got hair again. She-Hulk's in this, who's rocking the Anne Hathaway short hairstyle, which is really funny. Never seen her like that, but it was still good. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see how they're gonna just deal with Ultron in this. You know, he wants to destroy all organic life, and he looks like he's on the verge of it, because if you see Manhattan the way it is now, it was like, Jesus. It was crazy, but very much enjoyed it for what it was. Alright, so we move on to Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the Avengers this is number 7. Jonathan Hickman and Dustin Weaver is the artist on this one. This is the new storyline called The White Event. Last issue we saw Captain Universe talking to the individual known as Night Mask, and he was talking about something called The White Event, and it's here. And we get a little bit more in depth into what the White Event is and everything like that. And it's up to the Avengers to figure out what the White Event is and where it's going to occur and what is it going to bring. And basically, it's almost the birth of a powerful being, a being with immense power in a sense, but in the form of an average college student. Yeah, so that was something very interesting indeed. Very much. The roster in this one, as always, each issue, the roster, like, the lineup changes. We have Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Hulk, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, Captain Universe, and Hyperion are in this issue. And that's not even a full roster. Like, there's still some rosters left. There's still some slots left for the team, because Hickman said that this is going to be a huge team. This will probably be the biggest Avengers team ever, but they're going to like branch them out into different teams and stuff like that. But as always, Hickman still does a very good job with this Avengers book. I'm liking his run. I know there are people that are not liking it, but for me, I like the run. I like how he's strategically, basically arcing these stories out. Very good indeed. Alright, so we move on to All New X-Men number 8. I found the variant edition cover. I like this cover a lot more than the original, as you can see. Basically in this issue, guys, the Avengers finally meet the youngsters. Not gonna spoil too much, but basically we see Angel, Warren, and older Warren, basically, and Warren is still trying to figure out, okay, how did you get those wings? He's trying to figure out what happened to me. And, older Warren's like, oh yeah, I shouldn't be telling you all this stuff, right? And things like that. So they're still flying, and pretty much an explosion, and they see the Avengers towers being attacked. And it was funny because Warren says, older Warren is like, the Avengers tower, and he's like, the Avengers. Younger Warren's like, the Avengers live in a mansion, and he's like, no, they live in a tower now, and the tower is being attacked by Hydra. And so both Angels go in and fight Hydra, and they take them on by themselves, just 2 against a battalion of Hydra agents, and which was really funny. And then finally the Avengers Thor just knocks the rest of them out, and all of a sudden they see Well, and they're like, why are there two of you? And so they fly back to the school, and I love it how Cap was like, Hank, can I speak to you for a minute? And then it was funny just seeing Kitty and Bobby commentator like what Hank and Cap are talking about, which was really funny. And then we get a surprise of young Scott. He comes out. He's like, they're like, Wolverine, you should go over there and talk to. Yeah, I'm not going over there. And so he says, young Cyclops comes over, and he's like, hi Captain. I just want you to know, I've been catching up on with recent events, and I know you and I didn't see eye to eye, but I'm telling you right now, that will never happen. He goes in the deal, and then he walks away. And I love how Wolverine said, well done, nicely done, thank you. But it's Warren in this that's still freaking out. Remember, we saw in the beginning of this, Warren was like, we should go back home. We should go back. He was like the one that didn't want to stay. But it's Jean. Oh my God, Jean, what she does in this issue was crazy. And it gave me a little fear like, oh no, don't do this, Bendis. Not now. Don't do this. But I'm not going to spoil what she does and how she does it. But the fact of the matter is, it left all parties, not the Avengers, because they left after, Hank gave Cap and all in the word that we'll keep in touch, everything like that. Everybody else was just like, oh no. It was kind of crazy. But it was good. Alright. So we'll move on to Cable and X-Force this is number 5. Scott LaRocca. So now that Cable and his team are fugitives, pretty much, they pretty much left the country in a sense. I think they're lying low in Mexico, if I'm not mistaken, because they're fugitives. And the worst thing about it is this never happens, but it is a significance of how Hope felt about being left behind by her surrogate father, Cable. Hope was like, especially when Cable finally went to go visit her, it's like, you left me behind, why'd you do that? Everything. She's mad, she's upset, Cable's just like, look, I want you to have a normal life, not something like what I'm doing. And she's like, Dad, you raised me on the battlefield, you raised me jumping from time period to time period. What kind of normal life am I I've had already. I haven't had a normal life. We see Domino and Colossus getting it on in this, and I'm talking like full blown getting it on. We kind of see a little bit of Colossus in a sense. He's what's going on with his powers, like how he has to really activate his powers now so he can get his his steel-like skin on. And Domino was like, that'll work. Like, they're getting it on, and she hits this button on his suit that activates his, and she's like, okay, that'll work. I was like, good God, Domino, but I love you. We saw Dr. Nemesis and Forge playing classic video games and stuff was really funny. And unfortunately, they are about to go on a mission again, because once again Cable gets another premonition of what's going to happen, and he's like, look, I'm not telling anybody. Once again, you don't have to go with me and everything like that. But the team is like, yeah, we'll go, except for Dr. Emma. He's like, I'm not going. And then he's like, we're going out into space, and he's like, I'm in. But unfortunately, one member doesn't go. He turns himself in. Who that is? Colossus. Colossus turns himself in, as you can see right here. I'll show it to you. Here he is. He's turned himself in. He's turned himself into the authorities. But it makes you wonder, like, what's going to happen and why. I think the reason why Colossus did it, because he understands what Cable did was right, but the sense of they still kill people and things like that for the greater good. And Colossus has been a classic X-Men for a long time, and he's been with the X-Men since the Giant Size X-Men #1 back in 1975. So he's been taught differently the way Xavier taught them, like X-Men don't kill, things like that, and you can see that it's still stricken with Colossus. But I remember when he finished having his good time with Domino was like, we can forget ever this happened, and Peter's like, no, let's not forget it. And Domino's like, okay. So yeah, so it's kind of funny. Kitty's moving on with her life in terms of relationship wise, and looks like Peter's doing the same. All right, so let's move on to Daredevil End of Days, number 6 of 8. 2 more issues. Like I said, Bendis, this was really good once again. So the last issue we saw Ben Urich get pushed out of a window by Berserker, I believe, and looks like he was going to die. However, he gets saved by, believe it or not, Daredevil. Daredevil was supposed to be dead. He was brutally killed by Bullseye. It looks like there's another man in the costume of Daredevil, Man Without Fear. And first of all, this cover never happens. Nothing like this happens with Black Widow. Black Widow and Daredevil did have a relationship at one point. But Ben Urich goes to pay a visit to the Owl and everything like that, and the Owl shows off. He's got a memento of Daredevil. He about to pay a visit to Carrion Kilgrave, aka the Purple Man. He gets into a big argument with his son about, his son telling him, like, I'm glad Daredevil killed the guy that threw you out the window, everything like that. Ben Urich is still just trying to get down to the bottom of what the heck is going on and who this is. When he goes to visit Kilgrave, Purple Man, something bad happens to Purple Man, and I'm not going to spoil who killed him, but yeah, he's dead, point blank, killed, sitting in his chair, slumped down. And when Ben Urich turns around to look at who did it, all you see is a person just going, shh. Who that person is, I'm not going to spoil who that is. But let's just say he's a character that Matt has crossed paths with for a while. But it was good nonetheless. Alright. Why I keep holding on this because I love the character. Iron Man, number 7. Gillian Land. 2 more issues of Land and that fucker will be gone. Yes. Land will leave after issue 9. From what I saw, he's not drawing in issue 9. I can't stand. Okay, let me make this perfectly clear. For all those out there who like Greg Land's artwork, much love too, okay? I, for one, cannot stand the Tracer. In this book, we get so much smiling. It's just like Tony's smiling when he's in like this gladiator-like ring to kind of be, so he can prove his innocence in a sense, because the people think the story arc is called the God Killer. The people that are accusing him are the ones that worship the Phoenix. So this is still playing into the aftermath of A versus X. And Tony needs to deal with this in a sense. And he's getting a little help from some interesting source. And he realized that if this source can help buy him some time, then of course, bam, it'll work. But he has to fight in like this gladiator-like ring to keep himself alive long enough so that reliable source can get to not just notify the Avengers, his friends, but get to his armor himself. But it was okay. Not great, but it was okay. I just want Land off this book very much. I just want him off that book. God, can't stand that book with him on it. Can't stand him. All right, so we move on to Superior Spider-Man number 5. Okay, Dan Slott, Camulico, Camucoli. I'm probably butchering that name. Yeah, get a good look at that cover because that shit does happen in this. We're still dealing with Massacre in this issue. Octo Peter, Auto Peter, as I like to call him, is trying to kill two birds with one stone. He's still trying to study to get his doctorate for Peter, as well as try to track down Massacre. He's also got the help of Awatu Jackson to help out, and he's able to look into his little spider bots that he has all around the city now, and there's pretty much there. There's a big shootout in Grand Central Station, the famous Grand Central Station in New York City, very famous. I travel through there a lot myself, and it's between Massacre and at one point Auto scares Massacre, and it was really kind of interesting. I was like, wow. My problem, and last night I was talking to Blue Goblin about it, and he was like, my problem with it was there was no mention of what happened that we saw in the last issue. Green Goblin's coming back. There's no mention of him in this. But however, Auto Peter does something that Peter has never done, and it's on the cover. Yeah. So it's like, you know what? So people have been asking me, how do I feel about that? Once again, I said, this is not Peter Parker. This is Ock in Peter's body. Now, I have suspicion of what's going to happen in the future. I don't think Peter is going to... Like I said, want to know my opinion on what's going to happen in the future? Ask me, and I'll tell you with what's going to happen with this book. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you want to know, just ask me. But yeah, it was okay. Alright, so we move on to Venom, number 32. Cullen Bunn, Shalvey is the artist. So, basically in this issue, Flash is still getting to get his whereabouts around the city of brotherly love, Philly. Once again, any of my viewers from Philly, big ups to Philly. And also he's starting his new job, and he's just trying to get a handle on things. During the daytime, he's doing his job, and then at night, he's going around Venom, just patrolling the streets. And he comes across a very interesting character in this that had an interesting backstory, but lo and behold, there is more to it than that. Of course, a certain individual is tracking him down as well. Who that character is, you all should know who that is. Eddie Brock, aka Toxin, and he's tracking him down. But of course, we get to see that Flash is still dealing with those demons that we've been seeing in the course of each issue. For example, he's not taking the serum that's supposed to keep him more fully in control of the symbiote and things like that, and he's just abiding it. He's not even doing anything. He's like, I'm in control. And it's like, okay, he's really having a little trouble, especially with the friends. He's like, some of the people that he called his friends not picking up. He's like, Valkyrie doesn't use cell phones and things like that. Parker stopped calling me now, and we know why Parker stopped calling me, because now it's probably caught up with what's going on now. But other than that individual that was kind of a major factor, the antagonist in this, was very interesting. But it was cool. I did enjoy it. And like I said, guys, I don't mind that Flash is in Philly now. I really don't. I don't mind that at all. As a lot of people always complain that all the Marvel heroes are in New York and everything like that. Now we got a hero now in Philly. So what's the point? What's the problem? We got Kane in Houston. Kane's in Houston. Flash is, many of the Spider family is not just in New York anymore. All right. So we move on to Winter Soldier number 16. Kevin Latour and Klein is the artwork. I'm not really. The artwork is fine by Nick Klein, but I think it could have been a lot better. But this is still the story are Close to the Enemy, I believe, and after losing Black Widow, in a sense, not meaning losing her, but losing, that he understands that he can't be with her anymore, which was very sad because I love that relationship that James, Bucky, and Natasha had. They go way back with each other. Because I think a lot of people forget how Black Widow's older than she looks, but Nick Fury gave kind of Bucky a calling, like something, to give him a mission, something to keep his mind focused on. And the first mission was to deal with this double agent who's working for Hydra and Shield. However, it gets a little bit more in depth in the story and what's going on with this double agent and where his allegiance stands, as well as Bucky fights an individual that reminds me of a classic James Bond villain. Remember, what was his name with the jaws, with the teeth? Jaw. That was right. Jaw, right? Yeah, Jaw. And this Jaws. Yeah, that's it. He's fighting a guy in here who kind of reminds me of that. The difference is he's called what was his name? It was a very intense fight too. It was really intense. But his name was they called him Murder Mouth. But yeah, look, he reminded me of Jaws from James Bond, which is really funny. I was like, he had big T, and I'm like, oh my god, it looks like Jaws from James Bond. But it was interesting. The fight was really intense. Like, Bucky's just trying to handle this guy, and every time Bucky hits him, bam, he just gets back up, and then he bites Bucky. Like, he bit Bucky in his bionic arm, but other than that, it was good. It was fun. Latour is still keeping up with where Brubaker left off with just the great espionage feel to Winter Soldier, and that's good. Keep that flow going. Keep that. Don't mess up that. Don't steer from that path. That's what Bucky is. Keep him, espionage feel to it. Metal Gear Solid style in a sense. Yeah. So yeah. So that's all Marvel I got for you. We move on to DC. And the first one we're going to talk about is a book that is underrated in my opinion, and people need to give it more credit and stop hating on it and stop thinking that, it's only because it's a Batman book. It's actually a good book if you read it. And I'm talking about Batwing, number 18. Fabian Nicieza and Fabrizio Fonrenito. I'm probably butchering your name. I apologize. As you can see here on the cover, things are not looking well for David and Mutu, his right-hand man. Everything seems to be going to high hell now. Not only did people from his own police force try to kill him, fellow officers that he works with tried to kill him as his, not as Batwing, but as David Zambibi. He he realized that an old friend that he grew up with is working against him in a sense, because it's still been about the case of this very powerful individual in Africa whose son raped and killed this woman. Not a lot of evidence. David found evidence, convicted him, but an individual known as Sky Pirate broke him out. David wanted to get to him. Oh man, David tried to get to him, tried to get him back to justice. Fellow officers that seem to be on the take, trying to take him out. His friend tries to take him out, shoots him in the leg. He's limp. They destroy his base of operations, the Haven. His best friend and number 2 guy that knows who he is and works with him as Batwing, Matu is seriously, severely killed, nearly killed in an explosion. Everything is gone to put. However, David is like, no matter what, I gotta keep fighting. I gotta stop thinking. He says basically, I'm gonna read what he says. He basically says, I'll read the whole thing to you guys. He says, before the Haven was destroyed, Motu tried to give me a fighting chance. But what was this meant as a reminder of why I became Batwing, or a rebirth, or a chance to start anew? The choice, as it always has been, is mine to make. I have to try to do the right thing the right way, and I have failed. I have tried to become something I'm not, and I have avoided the truth of who I am. I was born and raised in blood. The time has come to return to my roots. Basically, I'm saying, since he was a child soldier, the time has come for people to die. And you see his new bat suit, his Batwing suit, right here, as you can see, right there. So I'm hoping that he doesn't steer too far from what Batman taught him and everything, like, why he became Batwing. But other than that, sometimes where things like this happen to a hero, they go down that path for a while, but something's gonna bring him back into the light, in my opinion. But this was really good. I've been loving Batwing. Very underrated, in my opinion, and people need to stop dogging and trashing it, in my opinion. Very good.
They don't fight. They don't fight.
Well, don't trash it. That's my opinion. Don't trash it because you don't like it. Just like I don't read it. Just don't trash it. Anyway, move on to Detective Comics number 18, Requiem. That's a beautiful cover right there. That's a beautiful cover. Jason Fabok's artwork in here is really good. John Layman continues to tell a story of what's going on with Penguin and this Emperor Penguin. I do not care about that. But it also plays into the effect of the psyche of Bruce. How does he feel right now because of the fact of a certain character's death, his son's death? They's playing this up a lot, and which was really good. I love the line that Bruce gives Alfred in this. He basically says, which really was like, wow, that was really deep. We have Bruce in the cemetery at the Wayne Manor. Basically, saying, he says, Master Bruce, do you need anything? And, you actually see Bruce crying. He's tearing. And, he says, nothing you can give me, Alfred. When the Joker took you, I thought you were gone, Alfred. And then I got you back. Only to lose my son to another monster. And it was just like, good God. Like, man, that was bad. It's just like really, that hits you right there. But it still is trying to get evidence to convict Penguin, and Penguin's all like, I'm untouchable, Batman. I can have lawyers. I have all these lawyers, and of course him dealing with this new Emperor Penguin, everything like that. But it's an old school villain that's involved in this issue. That was during the riot when the Joker pretty much let everybody out of Arkham during Death in the Family. Which really was good. I'm not going to spoil who that old school villain is, but it was really a pleasure to see him again, as well as in the epilogue, Emperor Penguin has a certain serum that he gives to this doctor, this woman, which I'm not going to spoil who that is. And then, of course, there's a backstory of that certain character that that I don't want to mention. But it was good. It was really good indeed. All right. So we'll move on to Earth 2, number 10. Nicola Scott's artwork still good. Jason Robbins still is telling a good story. So we get to see what's going on with a lot of characters in this. Finally, we get some in what's going on. First of all, it's a prologue 2 years ago where Karen, Kendra, Hawkgirl, and Khalid, the man who has Naboo, how they found Naboo and everything like that. Of course, we get into what's going on in the realm of Naboo, where Wu-Tan is dealing with Jay and his mom, and Jay's just trying to protect his mom. And Wu-Tan is like, your mother's gonna stay in this realm, and Jay's like, no, she's not. He's really no match for Wu-Tan, with his magic and everything like that. And Wu-Tan's just like, like, away, boy. Like, don't mess with me. I'm not a nice guy. Don't mess with me. And of course, the factor of he wants them to travel up into the Tower of Fate to get Naboo, so he can control the power. He can wield the power and things like that. And he's giving them no choice. He's like, you're gonna do it. In the meantime, we travel back into China, where we finally get to see what's going on with Alan Scott. He's paying his respects to his lover who passed away. He's talking to his father and everything like that. He's saying, I should have been here for the wake and everything like he missed the funeral and things like that. But he's just really being respectful and paying his respects with his lover's father. And then of course he goes out and he starts demanding, like, who ordered the hit, like who gave the order to kill them or something like that. And you see him in costume, as you see him right here. I'll show it right there. You see him in costume just dealing with what's going on. The people are telling him they don't know. He's like, who killed Sam Zhao? Why'd you kill him? And why was he killed? And everything like that. They don't know. The people are just like, I swear, we don't know. He's making constructs like of nooses, and he's choking them out, and they're like, we don't know. And then of course, he pays a certain character who has been having some problems with him. He's like, I need your help. And of course, there's more in depth with what's going on with Jay. It was really good the way they branched it out. From it would start with Jay and Khalid, then it'll go into Alan, and it'll come back to see what's going on with them in the Tower of Fate. But this was really good. I can't wait to see what Fate is gonna completely look like when they show him. I'm glad to see Fate is back. Once again, they're bringing the JSA characters into this world. Great. I can't wait to see some other classic JSA characters. Like, hopefully they'll bring Wildcat onto the team finally. But they got to do, because Wildcat is in this universe, but he's still boxing. So they got to do the origin kind of Wildcat. His manager sets him up, and because he didn't want him to. The story of Wildcat is simple. It's like, he killed the man in the ring, but it wasn't his fault. His manager set him up and things like that. But I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go with that. And hopefully we'll see Wildcat. And maybe there'll be some differences of his costume, but keep still the essence of Ted Grant, Wildcat. So we move on to Green Arrow, number 18. This was good. Man, Jeff Lemire is really turning this title around, in my opinion. Komodo has done a lot. Oh, sorry. I heard a song that I haven't heard in a while, but Komodo is turning Ollie's life into turmoil. Really bad. His company now, Komodo, the man underneath that is Komodo, has bought out a lot of shares of the Oliver, the Queen Industries and everything like that. And they know they have to kill Ollie, really. Ollie's just running for his life because he's a fugitive. He got in touch with Trevor. And he's like, what the hell's going on? We can't have members of the JSA JLA being fugitives. And he's like, you gotta believe me, I'm not involved in this. I didn't do this. I did not kill this guy. And like I told you before, like last time, some of his friends died, unfortunately. I'm not gonna spoil what happens with them, but this Komodo is a badass. His daughter is just as sadistic as he is. We're getting to see a lot of things, especially with Ollie's dad. Is like and especially more in tune of what the island as well that Ollie spent 5 years on, and it's getting really in depth, and it was really good. Don't want to spoil too much for you guys. So good, Jeff Lemire. Keep up the good work, sir. You have turned this series around where the people before you, I'm gonna be brutally honest, have failed. Yeah. Alright, and we move on to Green Lantern, number 18, Trapped in the Land of Death. Without spoiling too much, I'm going to move this, because I don't want to spoil too much for this. Boz, Hal, they're all trapped in death, basically like that, and it's a fight to get out of there and trying to figure out what's going on in there. We don't even see, it's called part 5 of the First Lantern, but we don't even see the First Lantern once again. They just talk about him once again, and it's an interesting take because what happens between Hal and Sinestro, especially Sinestro, is very interesting, and I don't want to spoil it, guys. It was really good, but I don't want to spoil this for you. Really don't. Definitely don't. Alright, and so we move on to the last DC book, and that's Huntress and Power Girl, World's Finest, number 10. Paul Levitz and Craig McGuire does the artwork. No George Perez in this. I was a little disappointed with no George Perez. But this kind of touches into the Damian's death as well. As well as still the factor of what's going on. Why did people from the Holt Industry, Mr. Terrific's company, attack Karen and all of them? And while Power Girl deals with that, Huntress, Helena, finds out about what's going on, and she pays a visit to basically Damian's grave. And it gets to the point, it's so bad, she barely picked up that Bruce was coming, because she heard him come through the bushes, and she's like, oh no, I'm not ready for this, I can't. And she lucky Karen, Power Girl, got there in time to fly her away, because Bruce was this close of seeing her, and that is her father, technically speaking. And it was really touching to see her pay her respects to Damian, her so-called, it is technically her brother in a sense. But it was fine. But once again, I still think Bruce is going to find out about Helena, or she's going to just tell him. But I think the other way, Bruce is going to find out. But that's pretty much the main gist of it. And of course, Helena goes on to tell, Karen, like, how did you have an affair with Michael Holt, Mr. Terrific, and things like that. And, it was interesting. But it was that scene right there that really got me about that. That, you know, once again, Helena paying her respects to Damian. Alright, so once again we move on to, and we'll end this with Independent. Now remember, once again guys, there's going to be an independent, there's going to be one book on Dark Avenger Inc. Will be exclusive, that's exclusive to Dark Avenger Inc. a review. Check that out, that's issue number 3 of Jin Rise. That'll be on Dark Avenger Inc. So go over there to see what that's all about. But the 3 books I'm going to talk about, independent books I'm going to talk about first, is DYNAMITE, one of my favorite independent companies. The Bionic Man number 17. I like the cover. Very nice. Huh? Oh no, this is not Mark Waid.
Said Mark Waid.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't wait till Mark Waid takes over Green Hornet. But in this issue, this is written by Aaron Gillespie, and Ed Taddeo is the artist. And basically, it's an issue. This story arc is called Desert Death Trap, and Steve Austin, the Bionic Man, has been sent in by the OSI into this country known as what's it called? Libu, I believe that's the name of it. And to kind of, I guess, to try to put a stalemate in this civil war that's happening. And you just see, basically, how good Steve Austin is as a field agent, the Bionic Man, in dealing with certain things. I mean, he's taking over, he's knocking down tanks, he's ripping them off the hinges, and, you know, he's taking out the heavy guns in this issue. And, you know, he's moving, you know, he's getting to situations very quickly, you know, because he can run really fast. And, you know, he's just so good, you know. He's also keeping a lot of the civilians alive. But it was just really, really intense, straight through, from the start to finish, straight through. And it just wonders how this is going to end, you know. But the Bionic Man number 17, still good. DYNAMITE just doing a very good job with those titles. Those pulp characters are just really doing a good job, very much. So next up we move on to Image, and once again I've been loving this series that Brian Wood has been writing, and that's Mara number 3. We get a sense in this issue now more in depth of what Mara can do. Not only can she fly, she seems to be nearly invulnerable in this. And the world is really trying to figure out what is happening to our favorite athlete superstar. And she has to tell it. She's like, look, please be patient with me. I'll tell you guys. And that's where everything starts going. Something bad happens to her in this issue. You know, she gets accused of certain things. And of course, she goes on. But because of her newfound abilities, of course, her career in terms of sports is flying into a ditch. All her sponsors are leaving her, you know, everything like that. Even some of her teammates. Her teammates are like kind of turning their backs on her. But of course, when one door closes, another door opens in a sense. And unfortunately, because of this world is kind of a world of like war, but to keep people's mind off of war, there's sports. Who do you think offers her a position? You don't even have to think. Just think about it. Yeah, yeah, I was just saying that. Yeah. But yeah, it was really, really interesting indeed. This was really good. I can't wait to see how this miniseries ends. There's 2 more issues left, but I've been really enjoying. Brian Wood has done a very good job with this. It's a very different story, in my opinion. It's like, basically, the way I look at it is like you take any great past athlete or present, and we find out that they all their abilities in a sense came from, they have newfound abilities now. They have superpowers. How do you deal with that? You know, how does somebody deal with that? You know, it was really good. There's I know there's an ongoing series that's coming up by Joe Casey. I did not read Sex, so don't ask me. I know Gabi read that, but there's a series that's coming out called The Bounce that I'm really looking forward to seeing what that is all about. Once again, trying to dip my hand back into Image again. I've dropped a lot of stuff from Image. I don't read a lot of Image anymore like I used to. It's too far for me to pick back up on Invincible. Too far for me to pick back up in Spawn either, because you know I'm more of an Al Simmons Spawn fan. I'm not this new Spawn now. I'm not really into that. But let's end this off with a bang, and we'll end it in Valiant and Justin Jordan, who's going to be coming on soon on Green Lantern New Guardians, I believe. ShadowMan #5. That's a creepy cover with Master Daku. Jesus Christ, that's a bad looking cover. Man, he looks evil. So basically, in a sense, Jack is he's just trying to put everything in the scope of him now being the Shadow Man. Unfortunately, he realizes right quickly that he can't do the same things he used to do now that he's on the radar now as the new Shadow Man. And that's his side of the story. In the dark side of, like, I guess you could say, hell or whatever, we have Master Darko, this guy right here. He's still trying to figure out a way to get out of his prison and things like that. And there's more stories involved in it. There's more side stories, but the fact of the matter is, Jack knows that everything is not the same now. He never asked to be, he never asked to be a Shadow Man. He never was really fully trained from like his dad was and all those past relatives of his as Shadow Man, because it's a bloodline. But it was still good, a very good story. I think Valiant is just telling a very good, very in-depth story of Shadow Man and, Harbinger Wars. I know there's some people that read Harbinger War and, Bloodshot and Archer and Armstrong. And, of course, I'm reading Exo-Man. There are 3 books out of Valiant that I'm reading. This, Shadow Man, Bloodshot, and Exo-Man of War. But other than that, this is really good. Justin Jordan's still doing a fantastic job on this series. And I'm looking forward to seeing the trials and tribulations of Jack becoming Shadow Man and everything like that. But just really good. Okay. So other than that, guys, that is it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Yes, guys, I'm rocking a new do. As you can see, I'm rocking the Mohawk. Once again, like I said, there will be one exclusive review on Dark Avenger Inc. Plus, that'll be Jin Rise #3. That's under IDW. As once again, I will put the link in the description where you can find this Spidey shirt if you want to purchase it yourself. If you want to get a better good look at it. There you go. And other than that, guys, this is Marvin and Kid saying peace and love. Stay tuned for real, guys. As always, I'll see you guys next week, God willing, with the next review. The countdown is still on to my 100th-ish episode, which will be a live. I'm going to do a live 100th episode review. So I hope you guys will be there. And, of course, interact. I'll interact with you as well as review books as well. But the countdown's still on, and other than that, you guys take care, and I'll see you guys next week.